Hey everybody, what's up? Looks like we're live. I'm going to try now to go onto my YouTube channel and see if I can see comments. So far we have 0 viewers, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's try to shrink this and go home. And no, okay, go to videos. Huh. Discussion about videos. All right. I don't see it on YouTube though. What's going on? Why is it not going up to YouTube? Screen share, question and answer, capture, cameraman. This is just to watch YouTube in Hangouts. Okay. Now I'm getting the spinning ball of death. Okay, no, I don't want that. All right, let's get that out of there. Okay. Well, I've got 3 viewers. Hello, 3 viewers. I wish I could see how you're watching, if you're watching on Google or on YouTube. Well, let me go back to YouTube and see what's going on. That's weird. I'm not seeing the video on YouTube. All right. Let's try again. So sorry, people that are watching. I know this is boring, but I do want to see your comments. So I need to be able to see the live video. And it's not happening. All right, 3 viewers. Hello. 4 viewers. Maybe I can do it if I look at YouTube on my iPad while I look at this on the computer. Let's try that. Videos. Nope. Just shows my latest video. Alright, so that's not good. Alright, this really makes no sense if I can't see your comments, so let me try one other thing. Hold on. Let me go to YouTube this way. Go in as a subscriber here. Aha, now I can see it. Alright. So let me try one other thing. Hold on. All right, so we got Mark, we got Tom, we got Chinaberg, we got Sam. Let me go to YouTube now. Mute that. Now I want to move the comments up to the side. How do I do that? Whoa. It's freaking out. right. So my question to you guys is, do any of you know how I move the comments on YouTube to the side as opposed to having them in this group chat in Google, as opposed to having them below the video, which is less helpful? I will check your comments and see if you know how to do that. Let's check here. But thank you for coming along, Tom, Chinaberg, Mark, Sam. Greetings. Mark's in San Antonio, Texas. The stars at night are big and bright. That's awesome. Thanks for coming on. It's what, maybe about 9 o'clock at night in Texas? It is 11:13 in the morning here. I've got some newspaper stuff, so we're going to talk about some recent stuff. Of course, we'll talk sumo. That's why I have the iPad to have the sumo banzuke in front of me, so we can talk about that in a little bit. We can also talk about any of your questions. Man, I just don't know how to do this. Let's see if it's anywhere in the YouTube page here. Top comments. Oh, well, that's just because I'm watching it as a viewer, though, not as Jason. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. Greetings. I'm drinking a little Aquarius vitamin this morning. It's got your B and C vitamins. 100 mg of your required vitamin C supposedly infused in this. It's basically kind of lemony water, but it tastes pretty good. And heck, who knows? I probably do need vitamin C. Maybe later on I'll jump into my cheeses. Cheeses are always good. Cheese crackers, very strong flavor though. For Japan, often has very kind of so-so flavored things. They're more of a mild flavored type of thing, but this has pretty good flavor. I hope the sound is okay. Somebody leave a message or a comment if you can't hear me. I'm going to comment as Taisha Jason, because I'm sort of watching from my second channel. So if you guys leave comments, hopefully it'll update fairly regularly. So we do have sumo starting today. Hopefully some of you are interested in sumo. I'll start there. Let me pull up the banzuke, and we'll let you know who's where, etc. So it's almost 11:30, and the interesting thing about this sumo tournament is we have 3 yokozuna for the first time, 3 grand champions. Oh, well, not for the first time, but for the first time since I've been watching sumo. The last time was back in the early 2000s. I want to say 2000 or 2001. We had 3, and so I started watching sumo in late 2004, about 10 years ago. So it's been a long time since we've had 3, and so if you have a chance to watch the dohyoiri, the ring entering ceremony. It might be a little different today. I'll try to get it on video. Obviously, Kakeru will come out and do his first one ever as a brand new yokozuna, but he should be last. He's still sort of outranked, if you will, by Hakuho and Haramafuji, who are his senpai, as it were. All right, here we go. Let's pull up the official sumo page. All right, we got 16 people watching. Hello, 16 people. Feel free to leave a comment. I'm sorry the comments are not on the side of the video. If you know how I do something to move them to the side, let me know. Leave a comment, and I'll move the comments, as it were. Okay. So here we go. So you can, go to this website. It's all in English, sumo.or.jp, and then you just click on English up in the upper right corner. And it's got quite a bit of good information. It's also trying to have you buy the what would you call it? Their streaming package. They've decided to stream now and offer it up for a price, and it's ridiculously overpriced. It's so expensive. It's $120 for the 15-day basho, or $10 a day if you just want to do random days, and $15 for the final day senshuraku if you just want that one day. So basically, you pay $10 a day, but you get 3 free days if you pay the $120. But I mean, if you think about other packages that people buy to watch sports, I mean, I can see $10 a month. You buy a monthly subscription, so it's $120 a year, and then you get all 6 basho for that, or something. You know what I mean? Or even $25 a basho. So or even 30. Say $30 a basho, $2 a day. That's reasonable. So it'd be 3, 6, 9. It'd be $180 for all 6 basho for a year. And maybe they'd be like, okay, $150 if you buy all 6 at once or something. Because I pay like $200, which is a lot of money, to watch all of football for an American season. But that's a lot of games I have access to on my computer. I do it mostly so I can watch my hometown, the San Diego Chargers, play. I can watch every one of their games. Because Japan TV only shows 1 or 2 games every week. And obviously, they're only going to show the Chargers 3 or 4 times a year. And then they do a pretty good job, NHK, Japanese TV, of showing the playoffs. So I don't get the playoff package. I just get the 16, or 17-week regular season. And last year I ended up getting preseason, even though I didn't really need it because I was in America. So this year I probably won't buy preseason. So my price will probably go down a little bit. But that's like $180. So I'm paying like $10 a week for football, but I can watch any of the games, and there's like 12 or 16 football games a week, plus Monday night, Thursday night. I get to watch them all. I can watch them live, and I can watch them later, sort of on a DVR, and then even later still, if I wait like a day, and they'll take out all the commercials, and I can watch like a whole game in like 30 minutes. It's a really good service, but it is expensive. But I mean, still, you compare that to what they're wanting you to pay for their crappy streaming. The streaming, if it was really good, it would be good, but it has no commentary. It has no replay. It's just one fixed camera shot at the dohyo, at the ring, and so it's not worth it. It's just not worth it, and I have no idea how they came up with this pricing. Okay, let's see if we got any more comments here. 10 more, yay. Okay, let me update. Here we go. Yay, I hear you fine. Sounds good, sounds good. Okay, good. All right. Yeah, it is Gazaranka. It is really expensive. Yeah, even like wrestling or boxing, which is expensive in America. I know you can pay like $40 for one boxing match or something. I don't know though. I mean, it's just hyper expensive. You're watching from the UK at 3:20 a.m. Oh, Tom, man, what's up? You're finishing your master's. Oh man, what are you studying? Let me know. Guys, a lot of people ask me about, my job at my university here in Japan. Am I gonna, stay there? And I go back and forth. My reluctance to do my master's is twofold. One, obviously, I don't want to study. Very simple reason. I'm lazy. I like to come home and relax. I don't want to then have to come home from work and like do schoolwork. But I could obviously buckle down and do it. But it's the expense mostly. And anything I do in Japan would probably be distance learning. So you're not really going to school, etc. I would be maybe going to a large city nearby once a month to meet other people, and then everything would be over the internet and email. And you know, it's a 2-year grind, or even maybe a little bit more if you do it distance learning, to do it, to just sort of like, I would be teaching the exact same classes, doing everything exactly the same. I would just have the chance of becoming a full professor if a slot opened up. Um, and to be honest, I don't really want to stay at my current university forever and ever. Not because I don't like my job or the people or the university, I do, but because it's in the rural countryside, and I really feel like I've done 10 years now in rural Japan, and I really do feel more and more strongly every year that I need to experience urban Japan, to experience Osaka or Kobe or even Tokyo, which I don't think I would move to Tokyo, but I really need to know about that Japan, to really feel like I've had a rounded experience here in the country. It's like if you went to America and you said you really knew a lot about America, but you lived in Minnesota or Idaho for 10 years. You know, how representative of that, of America, is that? You know, it is to a certain extent, and it's real, you know, America, or I live in real Japan. But at the same time, I want to live in a city where, you know, you can go do stuff at nighttime, where there's more young people, where there's just more to do. And so a master's would perhaps help me get another teaching job at a different university more easily too. So it is a trade-off, but it's expensive, you know. I don't even know how much it is, but I'm sure it's 15 grand. I mean, Tom, you can say maybe if you care. Now you've gotten a scholarship, or you might have some kind of thing, but I know it can be really, you know, it can be another 20 grand that I go into debt. You know, I'm just about to finish all my loans. In about 1 year, I'm going to be completely debt-free. No credit card debt, no school loans. I'm paying off everything little by little from you know, afar from here. I send money home to America, and it feels really good. Let me tell you. Don't get credit cards, kids. Listen to your Uncle Jason. Don't get them credit cards. Or have one, but use it well. Use it wisely. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I'd like to do my master's. That's the other thing too, is that if you want to teach English, which has now become kind of my vocation, even though I didn't study to teach English, you know, you pretty much have to get your master's in English education or ESL, or, you know, something like that. And I majored in history. I'd much rather study history for another 2 years, you know, and get my master's in that. Something that I'm more interested in than getting it in, you know, English. So, but anyway, I need to explore it more, and I keep putting it off. All right. So we're getting some more comments. Thank you guys for leaving comments. Sorry that they're not up on the side. I'll try to really find out how to do that for the next time we do this. Hey, I don't even know how you say me are mental. That's probably how you say it. A great contributor to my Sumo channel, always has great comments on Sumo. Thanks for coming by today. Hanamafuji is going to night school. I've heard about that. Yeah, he's like trying to get, I think he already has his bachelor's, right? He already has his first degree. He's trying to get some second degree. So good for him. You sometimes forget that these guys that do sumo are really young guys. I mean, some of them are in their early 20s. Oh, I don't have my Endo Coca-Cola. I want to show you. I'll do that in my sumo video. So later today, I'm going to make like a preview of the Basho video for my Jason's in Japan channel. So if you're into sumo, go over to my channel, watch that. I'm going to show you. I found a Coke bottle. If you've been following my Facebook page, etc., you've been seeing these pictures I put up. They're putting the names of Japanese people on Coke bottles, and one of the names they put on is Endo, which I don't really think is that common a name in Japan. It's certainly not a first name. So I think they did that for the sumo fans. All right. So Brock is saying 20 to 25K. Yeah, $20 to $25,000 to get a master's degree in the United States. You know, and that's like, no, that's 10 years of like $200 a month payments. I mean, if they let you pay it off over 10 years, you know, type of thing, like my original school loan. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for a piece of paper just to let you advance in your career a bit. Um, I don't know. I do have to think about it. Tom is studying geography. Oh, interesting. Not originally, recently, there was like this, little thing going around Facebook. I don't know if you saw it, Tom, but it was kind of fun, and it took you to this website, and it's like how many of the countries in Asia can you name, and you would just type them in, and spelling counted, because if you spelled it wrong, it didn't accept it. But as soon as you didn't have to know where it was on the map, you just had to know the names of the countries. So you would type in China, and it would then China would change colors on the map, and it would be like, okay, you got one in Japan and Vietnam and Laos and Cambodia and Mongolia and India and Sri Lanka, and then it's like, how many do you know? And it's like, I did some of these, and the one for Europe and the one for Asia. And it's like, oh man, like there are so many little countries now in Europe that 20 years ago when I was studying history and geography, like that map has changed so much. So it was humbling. It was humbling to do it and realize that I don't know that map as well as I should as just a citizen of the world, as it were. Even though I'm pretty good at reading the paper, and I mean I've learned some of these names, Turkmenistan and and some of these new countries that have emerged in Europe, but even some of the other small little countries in Asia, all the islands, Java and all those things down there, and I didn't know all the names, so that was a little humbling to realize. But it was a fun little app, or not? It wasn't an app. It was just like a web page, and it went around and. I thought I would do much better, but I didn't do as well as I thought I would do. Is there more info you can share about the JET interview regarding GPA? Angel wants to know. No, because I mean, there's a screening process, Angel. You send in this big thick application, and in this application you're going to have letters of recommendation. You're going to have a 2-page essay that you've written. You're going to have an application that you've filled out. And then you're going to have transcripts that have to be sealed, that you don't even open, from your various colleges. If you just went to one, then you're easy. I went to like 3 junior colleges and then UCSD for my final 2 years. So I had to have like 4 transcripts, and they all have to be in sealed envelopes, and you put them in there. Now you of course can request 2 copies and then open another one, and so you look at what you're sending. Which is what I did. I recommend that. Get a copy of your own transcripts and do open it and see what's on there. But basically, yeah, I mean, you can't do much about GPA. It is what it is. I've never really. If everything else on your application is really strong, then I don't think GPA really matters that much. My GPA certainly wasn't great. God, what do I want to... I don't think it was even 3.0. Is 3.0 a B? I think mine was like 2.8, 2.9. I had some bad classes in my freshman year when I first dropped out of college, when I was in my, early 20s. Because I did college for a little bit on scholarship when I first graduated from high school, and then the money went away, and my parents couldn't help, and I was like, well, I'd rather just work and make money, and I dropped out. And then I didn't go back until my 30s. So my entire 20s, I didn't go to college. So my journey through college is a little strange. But yeah, so my GPA suffered because I had some Fs and some Ws, which in the UC system is a withdrawal, and they're hard to make up for. But if you looked at my classes, and especially maybe the classes that mattered, like all my English classes, my Japanese classes, my grades in those specific classes were pretty good. But yeah, I mean, everything else on my application was very strong, so I think that's what got me through. The interview, the only thing they might say is, for instance, say you wanted to be a CIR, you wanted to actually, and you have to be kind of fluent in Japanese, and then you got C's if you took Japanese in college, and I'd be like, hey, like, what's that about, Or, it says in your 2-page essay that you're really interested in the choral music of the Andes, but it says here you got C's in all your music classes. What's this discrepancy about, or something? So, just see how it all lines up. I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, we've got Mike's in the house. Hey, Mike, what's up, man? Mike is a good buddy. Lives here in Japan, so he's up on a Sunday morning. Me, our mental is telling me more about Haruma Fuji. Distance degree with some Mongolian schools going for advanced degree with some physical. Police related. He'd be an intimidating police officer, Mr. I can't even pronounce his name in Mongolian. I should ask my Mongolian TA. I have a TA who comes into my office twice a week. She administers a different part of the English learning program that I'm not really in charge of, but she comes into my office twice a week. And she came with me when we went to see regional sumo and got to meet Hakuho and Haruma Fuji because she speaks obviously fluent Mongolian. She's native. So I should ask her how you pronounce his original name. Sam Munoz says, I've never seen this type of live chat before. Well, welcome, Sam. I'm glad you're here. If you have a question about Japan or Jet or me or the Beatles or Batman, feel free to leave a comment. I will do my best. I'll probably chat here for another hour or so until either my throat gives out or my vitamin water goes away or I run out of Country Mom cookies. These are delicious, by the way. These are the crispy kind. I don't know if it says that in katakana. Yeah, it does. Can you read Japanese? Oh. Crispy. Crispy. And then this is the flavor. Vanilla. It really pains me that in katakana the V sound becomes a B. Vanilla. So vanilla flavor, even though it's got chocolate chips in it. I once won a geography contest by correctly answering with Kazakhstan. Yeah, there's a lot of stans now. Some friends who once were Jets, my friend Chris and his wife Susie, I think I've talked about this before, they did Jet for 3 years, went back to Atlanta, where they were from. Chris ended up teaching Japanese. He became very fluent while he was here. Ended up teaching Japanese to like middle school kids in Georgia. Didn't like it. His wife Susie applied to the Foreign Service, I guess you would call, to work in embassies. And their first posting was in Kazakhstan. So I learned a little bit about Kazakhstan from them, and they showed, of course, a lot of pictures on Facebook and talked about, the food and the weather. It was very cold. And their next posting, they've just done 2 years in Kazakhstan, so now they get to move, and they're going to Beijing in China, which should be really exciting. They're worried about the pollution, of course, but very excited to go to China. They don't speak Chinese, either of them, but Chris obviously knows kanji very well from Japanese, so that could possibly be a leg up. But he's kind of doing what some Jet spouses do. He got onto Jet, and Susie came over with him as a spouse with no job, and now she's got the job where she goes to work 9 to 5 every day in the embassy, and he doesn't have a job, so he's finding other things that he can do to fill his time and possibly help them make money. So it's interesting, the course people take after Jet sometimes. Yeah, Tom, you would be a ringer. What we would call a ringer if you were playing a geography game. Oh, I'll check that out, that geography game. Tanner is here. Hello, Tanner. I have the opportunity of moving to Nagoya, Japan, into a good job that will be available to me in 2016, 2 years from now. I have studied Japanese for years. Is moving straight into Nagoya a bad idea? I don't see why not. There's a bunch of good people in Nagoya. Victor is in Nagoya. A couple other fairly up-and-coming J-vloggers are in Nagoya. There's Sumo in Nagoya. So I've been to Nagoya. Moving straight to Nagoya versus what? Going somewhere else in Japan first? Japan is Japan. I mean, if you move straight to Tokyo and go to Temple University or something for education, or you just get a job in Tokyo, I mean, that's going to be a shock because it's Tokyo. Everywhere else is kind of, it's just Japan. It's getting used to Japan. Um, Nagoya is a big city, but it's certainly not overwhelming when I visited. Um, and you might end up living, sort of on the outskirts, and therefore, not in kind of the chakra block, very heavily congested downtown area. And it's enough of a big urban environment that you could probably get around without a car easily, which is always nice when you first move here. You can probably take trains and buses everywhere. And yeah, I'd have no problem moving to Nagoya. Um, and if you study Japanese and your Japanese is good, man, you're all set. I mean, that's one of the biggest hurdles that most people have when they first come over is if you don't speak the language, um, it can be difficult, especially if you're going to do something other than Jet. Jet holds your hand. Jet gets you a place to live. Jet, somebody goes with you to get your cell phone, set up your bank, do so many things. They fly you into the country, for Christ's sake. They meet you at the airport. They take you to an orientation right away. They really do take care of you in a very, very nice way. And they pay you well, and they pay you on time, and you never have to worry. And um, if you don't do jet, there's various other ways to get here, obviously, but some of them you're left more to your own devices. When I flew back in 2010 to start my university job, it was just like I was any Joe, Harry, Tom, Dick, or Harry. I mean, I had to find my own apartment. I had to arrange for my car. I had to, set up my bank, and I mean, all of this stuff. I had some help, but it wasn't like jet, and luckily, I did have a Japanese woman on staff at the university who was nice enough to help me with a lot of that stuff. All right, comments. Thank you. Again, I'm sorry that it says all comments 5. I'll just leave a message here. Sometimes if I leave a message, it updates. There we go. All right. Nope, it did. Okay. Do you think you drink more soda in Japan or in the States? Jess asks. That's a good question. It's funny you say that because recently, a part of my job, as I've explained before at my university, is there's a room. It's the language support room, and I hang out there when I'm not teaching. So some of the part-time teachers, they come to campus, they teach their 1 or 2 classes, and then they can go home. Or if they teach 1 class in the morning and 1 class in the afternoon, there's a part-time teacher's office where they can go and hang out. They have access to, Wi-Fi and the printer, and they can make copies, and they can, students can come and knock on the door and chat with them if they have a question. And of course, then there's the cafeteria and stuff if they need to have lunch. But I go back to a room where students can come basically from 9 to 5, because when I'm not there, other people are usually staffing it, and get help. But also, the English teachers specifically ask the students to go there and say, do a project or work on something and get advice from a native speaker or chat, whatever, and then they get a stamp on a piece of paper or in their book that says they came and did that assignment. So recently, one of the teachers they're studying the first chapter of their book, their textbook, is about health, how to be healthy, and vocabulary, English associated with being healthy. Do you smoke? Do you drink? How often? How often is a good thing to learn in English? Once a week, twice a week, once a month, never, every day. These kinds of words are good for students to learn. So they centered the theme around health. So the students were supposed to come to my room and ask me or any other assistant that's in the room about our health. And I think you guys know I'm a big guy, and I'm certainly not the exemplar or the poster boy for a healthy lifestyle. So, but most of the kids asked, the first question was, do you smoke? So many Japanese men smoke. It's a huge percentage, like 35 to 45% or something, way bigger than it is in America. And no, I don't. I never have. I had asthma as a child. I never developed a smoking habit. In fact, it obviously bothers me, and I would never be able to date someone that smokes, etc. So when I go to Japanese restaurants, which smoking is still permitted in a lot of places in Japan, it really does bother me quite a bit. But kids in Japan, I think the age is 18 in America. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might probably is 18 in the UK, but in Japan it's 20. You're not supposed to smoke cigarettes until you're 20. So actually, college freshmen and sophomores are 18 and 19 for the most part. So they're not supposed to be smoking yet. So I always say no, and they kind of look at me like, "Oh, good," they're happy about that. Then oftentimes they ask me, "Do you drink?" But they don't even ask me, "Do you drink?" It's just an assumption that I do. So usually this is where they use their "how often" English. How often do you drink alcohol? And I say, "Oh, you know what? I don't. Never. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink beer. I don't drink wine. I don't drink hard alcohol." And they're always shocked. And I say, "Yeah, I just. And then a lot of times they ask, okay, well, how often do you drink coffee? Coffee obviously being another, stimulant, etc. And I say, never. I don't like coffee. So at that point, they're starting to be like, wow, this guy's really strange. But it's all true. I'm not trying to just make it up to make their interview more interesting. I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. I drink English tea from time to time if I want a hot beverage, but I really don't like hot beverages for the most part. I still have never really gotten used to Japanese tea, which is free, like in the cafeteria, and every Japanese place you go will always offer you Japanese tea. So I can sip it and pretend, but I don't really like it. But as you guys know, if you watch my channel, the thing I drink is Coca-Cola. I have a bad habit, and it's really the one bad thing that I do. So I always have to tell them, I say, well, okay, now that makes me look really good. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't drink coffee, but I do drink cola every day. So, then they're like, oh, because for them it's just so weird. Most Japanese kids aren't addicted to Coke like we are in the States. They don't grow up drinking it like we do. And some of them like it, but most of them, if you ask them, what's your favorite drink, will say something else. Very few times will they actually say, oh, I really do like Coca-Cola or soda or cola. So it's just funny. And then they'll ask me things like, how often do you exercise and stuff, and we just started to laugh, But so I have been attempting to drink less soda, but to answer your question directly, Jess, I think I drink less soda in Japan just because it's sort of less available in a way. Like, I went out to a restaurant the other night with friends, and they didn't, just Coke wasn't even on the menu. You couldn't get a Coke. So I think I drink it less. I'm trying to drink it less at home. Basically, what I've been doing is buying cans, which are 350 milliliters, 12 ounces if you're in America, and I try to limit myself to 1 can a day now. As opposed to buying a big liter where I'm not really measuring, or even 500 milliliter PET bottles, which are half a liter. I try to limit my intake now to 1 can a day, and that's an easy way for me to measure and know how much I've drank. Anyway, but I remember back in college. This is my favorite Coke drinking story. Is I want to say around the time of the Hulk movie. The Incredible Hulk movie, probably the Ed Norton one, but maybe no, maybe the very first one, with Eric Bana, directed by Ang Lee. 7-Eleven were doing this promotion, and they had these Coke Hulk cups, and it was a huge insulated mug, and it had all Hulk graphics on it. And it was huge. I mean, it was a vat of Coca-Cola. It was probably 144 ounces or something, how they measure it, like two 2-liter bottles or something. It was an incredible amount of beverage. And I used to take, and the hook was, if you bought this $10 mug or whatever it would cost originally, you could bring it back and refill it at any 7-Eleven or something for like $1. I mean, some really cheap amount of money. And it was a way for them, obviously, to get you back in the store, hoping that you'd also buy a bag of chips or some donuts or whatever. But I was going to college, and I worked at Hollywood Video, a video chain like Blockbuster. And a lot of times before my shift, I would take that Hulk mug in and just and fill it up with probably, I'm not actually a Coke drinker in the States. I drink Dr. Pepper, Mr. Pibb, whatever, even Pepsi over Coke usually. But I would fill it up and a lot of ice, try to keep it cold for a few hours. But it was pretty insulated, and put that top on, and I would just slow sip that for like my 6-hour shift while I was working at the video store. And it was a ridiculous amount of liquid and a ridiculous amount of Coca-Cola. I would never do that to my body again. But that's the example, just some things you just don't even think of when you're a young person. So yeah, I would say I drink less. What are the options, Gazronka asks, if you want to stay in Japan after your time in JET is over? There's lots of them. It just really depends what skills or connections you've developed during your time in JET. Were you a JET for a year? Were you a JET for 2 years? Were you a JET for 5 years like I was? Did you meet people in the community? Did you meet other people in other cities? Is your Japanese at a certain level now better than it was when you arrived? Hopefully, yes. And what you want to do you want to keep teaching, or do you want to change jobs and try to get a job in an industry other than teaching, or in something, say, like translation or interpretation, or I don't know. So I think living in Japan and acclimating to the culture and learning the language is a big boon. And of course, when you've decided, because you kind of decide in JET when you're going to leave. Generally, they'll let you recontract as much as you want, especially during those first 3 years. The fourth and the fifth, is a little bit different. But those first 3 years, if you're doing your job and showing up and being semi-professional, it's a cakewalk. So you can basically say, okay, it's my second year now. I'm going to stay a third. During my third, I'm going to apply to graduate school. I'm going to take the GMAT. Or whatever it's called. I'm going to apply to, law school. I'm going to apply to this other job in Japan. I'm going to get my resume ready to, do this or that. And I think it's pretty easy to stay here if you really want to. It just depends what salary you're willing to accept. If you just want to be an ALT like you were in JET, that's fine, and you can probably get a different ALT job, but a lot of them pay less than JET. So, JET gives you a slight raise now if you stay a second or third year, so, you might have to go from, saying, making 33 mon a month, which is $3,300 roughly, to making $2,700 a month, maybe a $500 a month cut in your salary to stay as an ALT for a different company in a different place in Japan. So it's how does that sit with you, et cetera, et cetera. You just have to, rank these things. Mark asked, do you know any Rikishi who are active on social media? I follow Osuna Arashi, is becoming my favorite. Yeah, Osuna Arashi, if you guys aren't following him on Facebook, and he's also on Twitter, I think, he tweets out and Facebooks out a lot of really fun pictures, behind the scenes, goofy selfies, and he does a lot of it in English, Arabic, or Egyptian. I'm sorry, I don't know. I think it's Arabic, his native language, whatever that may be, and also Nihongo. I have the feeling that he has somebody helping him. I don't know that it's always him writing it, but sometimes it is. And you really can interact with him. It's really fun. So yeah, he's one. I'm sure there are other Japanese Rikishi. They've talked about it in tournaments in the past, especially some of the younger ones, like I'm going to forget his name off the top of my head. Hold on, let me look at my Bonsuke really quick. Let's see here. Not Guido. He's older. Ikioi, I think, was really active on social media for a while. Some of the guys, yeah, they really do. They had, you know, back in the day, they had blogs. Now, of course, yeah, it would be Facebook and Twitter, or maybe the Japanese are really into a social media thing called Line, Line. So if you can go on there, you might find them. And you just go online. Here, I can show you on my phone. You just go to official accounts, and then it'll have a list of everybody. Like I follow Paul McCartney, and he tweets. He does these line updates in Japanese. So obviously he has a staff. Um, so when you're online, gosh, I can't match this up. There's all my friends, and then down at the bottom, there's more. And so one of them, oops, is official accounts. It's this one right up here. And you just click on it, and like there's the AKB one, and then it's just page after page. Like there's McDonald's, a lot of companies. Here's the place where I get gas, and they'll tweet out coupons and offers and stuff. And then here's like artists. They do them in categories: celebrities, sports. So really, there's only two listed right now, and that's FC Barcelona and Real Madrid, two football clubs. Public services, news, blah blah blah. So yeah, you might find some wrestlers on there. Yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head though. The only one that I follow as well is Osuna Arashi. So yeah, and then the actual like governing body. Let's see if I can tell it to you here. Home of Sumo has a Twitter. It's at SUMOKYOKAI. So I'll try to put that in a comment. At Sumo Kyokai. And they have their own like sumo feed, and they put up pictures and stuff. So you could do that on Twitter. All right. I head to Okinawa on 18th August, Sam says. Are the currency exchange booths noticeable? Speaking of stands, aside from my deployment to Afghanistan, I was in I can't even say this name. Isn't that terrible? Kyrgyzstan, maybe? Prior to that, very interesting time. First time I've seen Mongolians. Yeah. You head to Okinawa. Well, to get cash, if you're in America now, Sam, go to your local bank. Like I bank through Bank of America. You have to give them a few days notice. No bank when you walk in is going to have Japanese yen behind the counter. But Bank of America, for instance, is such a huge bank that you can go online and do it, actually. You can buy currency, or you can go into a branch and put in your order. And basically, you go in, you give them American money, and you tell them, they'll even say, okay, what kind of notes do you want? Do you want Ichiman? Do you want Go Sen? Do you want each sen? 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 yen notes. They don't do coins. So everything has to be rounded to the $10 kind of thing, if you want to put it that way. And I like take a chunk of my American money at the end of, say, my summer holiday in my Bank of America account, and I send it to Bank of America, and they send me Japanese yen. And you have two options when you do that. You can have it Federal Express, so you have to sign for it, to your home address, which can be very convenient, as long as someone's home most of the time to get the package when it arrives. And you rip open the plastic bag, it's got money inside. Or they'll just, they'll deliver it to the local Bank of America near your house, and it'll obviously be there because they're there to receive it, of course. But of course, they also close at 5 or 6 o'clock at night. So, it's can you get to the branch? Say you need to leave on the plane on Saturday, can you get there on Friday or whatever? Anyway, that's the way I would recommend doing it. I would recommend buying some cash in America if you can before you even get on the plane. But like I said, you've got to give them, I want to say 3 days notice is the quickest. If you give them more, then you pay less. I think to do it in 3 days, it costs like $20 fee. If you give them like a week, then it costs like $5. Um, so look into that if you're with B of A. I'm sure Wells Fargo and some of the other big banks do the same thing. But yeah, there's booths in the airport. You can definitely go exchange money at the airport. But you know what kind of fee they're going to charge you and what kind of exchange rate they're going to give you is always going to be advantageous to them. So you're going to kind of make a little less. But if it's only a couple hundred to say $500, it's not that big a deal. If you're talking about $2,000 or more than that, I would try to do it before you leave, and just bring that cash over with you. It'll be safe. Don't worry. It's Japan. Okay. Melcan is here. Hello, Melcan. Leave a question if you have one. Victor always says Nagoya is like Cleveland. Yeah. I mean, Nagoya is not that exciting. Somebody else mentioned recently, and something we were talking about, it's like a tourist destination or whatever. It's just sort of centrally located on Honshu, and it's got some industry in it. It is a fairly big city, but yeah, it's not the most exciting place, but it's easy to get to places from there. I mean, it's certainly easier to get to Osaka or Kobe or something from, or even Kyoto from Nagoya than it is from where I live. How long did it take you to get used to the cars in Japan? Angel asks. It really is. It becomes second nature very quickly. People ask me that all the time. When I first moved here, as I've told many times, I didn't have a car. I had a scooter, which I actually think was probably kind of a good way for me to get used to the driving. But literally, so many of the roads, if you end up in a very rural place like I am, are you know, it's one car, it's one lane, and it's like, you know, this car coming up kind of pulls over to the side, and then you pass it, and then it comes out again and goes. You know, it's there is no right or left. There's just the middle, and so you don't worry about it too much. And then every other road, literally every other road in Shimane, where I was when I was a jet, is you know, one lane in one direction and one lane in the other. It's really not that hard. There's very few multiple lane big intersections, you know, with lots of different options. There's no freeway. There is an expressway, but it costs money to use, and it's also just one lane in each direction. It's pretty incredible how simple the driving is. So yeah, you'll get used to it. You'll be in other cars. You'll be on the bus, and you'll just be used to being on that side. And if you just always think to yourself, okay, I'm the driver, I'm at the wheel, the center line of, you know, the road should be, you know, right outside my door. If you always think like that, you'll always be on the correct side of the road. I won't say the right side, but the correct side of the road. And it really isn't tough to get used to. But a lot of jets, you know, you can get a year, you can get an international driver's license very easily at AAA in America, probably at the British Automobile Society or whatever it is, and that will allow you to drive on your native country driver's license for a year in Japan, if you were to get pulled over or something. So you have a year before you have to take the test to get a Japanese driver's license, which can be difficult for some people, and then you have to, you know, actually, like, if you're an American, go out and drive on a course and get certified. If you're from Canada or the UK or something, the rules are a bit different. But anyway, you know, that's only if you're going to stay more than a year, obviously. All right. How did I get into sumo? Basically, I came to Japan. I was, guess my culture shock was how little English there was around, and because I was in such a rural place, I got like 5 channels on my TV. I had no cable. You know, there were no English bars. There were no. There was very little internet back then. There was no Twitter. There was no YouTube. Facebook was just starting. It was still like you had to have like a college address to do Facebook back then. And so every other month on TV would be sumo, and you could touch a button on your remote control, which is right here on this remote control, and change the audio from Japanese into English, and I could listen to guys speak English for 2 hours, or usually for like 45 minutes, because I would come home from work at around 4:30 or whatever, and then watch like the last hour or so. And yeah, it just became a thing just to hear English and just to be like, but interacting with Japanese culture at the same time, and I just fell in love with the sport, and it developed from there. So I have, if you look on my Argonauts channel, I have like really old sumo videos that I've left up, like old Asashoru matches and stuff that still get hits and views from like 2008, 2000, before I even had my whole sumo channel. But they're not good. So the video, a lot of times it's like me talking to the camera, and people would be like, Jason, why are you showing your face? Show the match. And the TV is really small, and I was using a different camera back then, of course, and stuff. Now it's all HD, and my TV is gorgeous and big, and blah, 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 blah. So 16 to smoke in the UK, but 18 to buy. Oh, that's interesting. So you can smoke cigarettes when you're 16 or 17, but you can't go into a store and buy them. That's problematic, though, man. Not even iced coffee on a hot summer day. No, I'll drink iced tea. If I'm in America, I love iced tea. I drink a lot of Snapple in America. I love Snapple tea. I love, like, Lipton have this kind of expensive brand of iced tea. I just like sweet things. What can I say? And the hot beverages, though, yeah, especially if it's hot, oh, I can't do it. Roasted green tea. I haven't tried, and how would you pronounce that? Hojika? Hojicha? I haven't tried that. I could look for it. I've tried a few of the different teas, and they're okay, but I drink a lot of vitamin water. I think I've shown you guys that on camera before, which is expensive in Japan. That's the only problem. It's like 200 yen a bottle, and there's nowhere, I've never found anywhere that discounts that damn stuff. And they have kind of a tea with honey flavor that's really good. I drink a lot of that. I drink a lot of this, and water, of course. When I'm teaching, I always have a bottle of just regular water, and then Coke. Yeah. All right. Shannon's here. Hello, Shannon. I've had this argument with a friend who thinks Japan is really as weird as it seems in Western media, e.g. anime is truly massive, everybody watches kind of thing. Public conventional weird sexual fetishes, BS like that. Obviously been in Japan from numerous years to the person asked. Thank you. All right, well, I'm not sure I see a question in your comment, Shannon. I think you're asking me, is Japan as weird as you see it portrayed on Western media and also in Japan's own media, i.e. the manga and anime that they produce? No. Japan is not, it's not, the frickin' Avril Lavigne Hello Kitty video that just came out. It's not Baby Metal. It's very boring. A lot of places, it's very routine. It's a first world country, but not all the time. Some of it's very outdated, and you'd be surprised at how technologically sort of behind or inept people and places can be. It's very bureaucratic. So you have to be prepared for that. Change is very slow because of that. Certainly, if you go on YouTube and you look, there's a famous YouTuber that's from England or whatever, and he made a great video about that robot restaurant that they have in Tokyo. Well, that's one restaurant in Tokyo. Tokyo is such a different Japan than the other 85% of the country. And I'm sure it's fabulous and wacky and amazing. I'd love to go. But it's just not, it's not Japan. And like I teach with Daigakse, okay? I teach with 18, 19, 20-year-olds, and they all know anime and manga. They all have a favorite one that they read as a kid. It's way more pervasive than, say, even Marvel or DC comics in America, which, if you asked an 18-year-old girl who's your favorite, Marvel or DC character, she'd be like, "What? You mean from the movies? I guess I like Iron Man." You know, but a lot of them haven't ever read an American comic book. All Japanese kids read, manga and anime when they're growing up, and they all watch it to a certain extent. But how much that carries over and how much they keep doing that as they become adults, it's obviously, it's based on your personality and what you're into as you get older. So this notion that everybody is just constantly reading manga and anime and stuff, especially into their adulthood, I think is really not very true. But it is a very shared cultural thing that everyone can relate to. But if you come over and you're really into One Piece or something, that's going to be great. And especially if you teach, Shogakuse or Chugakuse, they'll be like, "Wow, cool, you know about all these characters." But adults will be like, "You're kind of strange." Sexual fetishes and all this stuff you're talking, weird sexual fetishes. Yeah, I mean, they exist. Japanese porn is bonkers. There's all kinds of weird crap. But how much that, I mean, you read article after article about how Japanese people aren't having sex, how kids are waiting, how the majority, there was just this big article that went around Facebook about when Japanese girls have their first kiss, and like broken down by prefecture. And it was first some cosmetic company or something did this survey. And the average age where a girl has her first kiss in Japan was like 17 and a half, which is like when she's like in her second or last year of high school. So the country is at once very sexualized, especially if you look at like all these AKB, and young girls and stuff. But at the same time, I think it's very asexual in other ways. Like, it just doesn't permeate the culture in the same sort of way it does in America and the West. That's hard, man. I could talk for minutes on that, I guess. It's just not as weird and crazy as you think. I've always said, right before I came to Japan, there were two big Japan-related movies. There was Last Samurai and Lost in Translation. And I saw both of those movies, loved both of those movies. But Japan is not like either of those movies. At least in Japan where I ended up. Now, obviously, Lost in Translation, yes. Tokyo can be a bit like that, and foreigners, the way he was treated and stuff, there's some ringing of truth in that movie, and going out to crazy karaoke and stuff. It's really fun. And so that movie has obviously more realistic stuff, and then, Samurai is obviously a period piece. But, Japan people aren't samurai, they aren't ninja, and, they have jobs, they have the same sort of general interests. I think it's language barrier. I think if you could go on to YouTube to popular Japanese videos and read the comments, or if you watch some Japanese dramas or TV shows that were sort of more normal and saw what the people were really saying and stuff, a lot of that gets demystified for you fairly quickly. And, they have the same concerns that everyone else has, wanting to have a family, bringing up a good family, etc., etc. And just some of the cultural influences that made you who you are in America or Britain or whatever, whether that be religion or your parents or whatever, are maybe different than they are here in Japan. But in the end, people are people, and I just don't find Japan to be that weird or exotic. But that's because I've been here a while, perhaps. But there are certainly still some very unique and interesting and awesome things about Japan. I don't want to say that takes away that Japan is. I said boring at one point. It's not a boring country by any means, but day-to-day life is day-to-day life. It's not some crazy, what is her name, Karu Pamu Pamu video, at all times in my life. So, you gotta, distance the two. It'd be like saying is American high school like 90210 and Gossip Girl and, Glee. do people break out into song in the middle of the cafeteria? I doubt it, you know? All right. Yeah, soda is a bitch to quit. I tried over spring break when I stayed here. I didn't go home to America. I started to literally, and I think I made it 3 days without one, and then finally I just was like, I really want one. And that was my best streak of not drinking one. All right. What is my line? I think if you just look up my name, you could probably find me online. I don't know that I have my privacy settings set to anything weird, but I never use it, guys. Sam's asking me what my line ID is. It's probably just Jason Harris. And then, there's lots of Jason Harrises in the world, the one that's in Japan. But I almost never use it. I signed up because some students wanted to send me some stuff, and I use it maybe once a month. I look at it. I never use it. I way use Facebook more. If you want to get in touch with me or send me stuff or whatever, go to the My Argonauts Facebook page. It's the easiest and most direct way. Mackenzie in Japan, hello. Many thanks for your awesome videos. You are awesomely welcome. You're going to find out where you're going to be placed soon. Gambate. I hope it's a great place. It'll end up being a great place because you're there. Just graduated today. Omedetou gozaimasu. That's awesome. I remember 10 years ago, because it was 10 years ago, 2004, when I was graduating from UCSD. Man, that last month where you're running around trying to get ready for Japan in June before you leave in July. So, one question regarding shoes. Okay. From my understanding, ALTs don't need to wear the slippers students do in school. Either way, should I buy some big shoes before I go, as I'm a 12? Yes, I'm an 11, and you really won't find a lot of shoes in rural Japan that are that big. That's about 28 cm, 28 centimeters in a Japanese size, and if you go into a lot of Japanese stores, the biggest shoe they're going to have is 27. If you go bowling or something, they will usually have one or two pairs that are 28 or 29 that are big enough. So don't worry too much if you go bowling. Bring shoes with you. Yes, shoes I do not buy in Japan. I always wait when I go back to America in the summer, etc. That's when I buy it if I need a new pair of shoes. My recommendation is Skechers or something that you can buy that looks nice with, khaki slacks or whatever, or with your, that you can also maybe wear with jeans on the weekends, but that don't have laces, that you can slip on and slip off relatively easily. Buy shoes without laces as much as possible. Certainly have a pair of athletic shoes, sneakers, tennis shoes, whatever you want to call them, for when you want to play sports, go do that. But I would say I have two what I call my main shoes. I have a brown pair and a black pair, and they're both no laces slip-on shoes. Then you do need to wear something indoors. You're saying you don't have to wear the slippers students do in school. No, but most schools will make you wear, you will have to take off your outdoor shoes and put on indoor shoes. But they can be anything. And they can even be kind of like another pair of Skechers as long as you never wear them outdoors. They just stay in your cubby and stay in school. So mine became these kind of Birkenstock-looking sandals, and they had a fairly good grip sole, and I wore those because my feet were definitely too big for the slippers. And I bought another pair because I ended up having to go to elementary schools as part of my job. So I would keep a pair with me in my elementary bag or in my car when I got my car. So when I would go to elementary school, I could take my shoes in with me because they will make you wear, the little brown slippers they give out, and they're, a million other people have worn them. And now as a guy, you almost always are wearing socks. Girls, you'll wear shoes with no socks. I wouldn't want to put on slippers with bare feet. Yeah. So yeah, I would recommend bringing two indoor pairs with you, one for your base school and one that you will then take with you. But you can wait on that and see how it goes when you first get here, just have one indoor pair, and then when you go home during your first year at some point, or even order them and have them sent from home or something if you feel like you need another pair. And then I have a pair of like Vans that I wear casual. Like on the week, I wouldn't wear them to school, but again, they have no laces. And then I have just like a pair of what I call flip-flops that if I need to run outside for a minute or something. So I have like 5 pairs of shoes in my Genkon. But yeah, when I was a Jet, you definitely do need something for inside your schools. So I would buy and take something with you. Now, it can be a pair of flip-flops. It can be really simplistic, Adidas, just get something comfortable that you can wear, and they don't have to be expensive, but in your size, because unless you live close to a big city. If you go to Kobe, Hiroshima, for instance, they're going to have a big and tall store. And there's even a new store that's kind of like getting more popular because Japanese guys are starting to get huskier, and it's called like 5L or something, which is like the biggest size. Like it's 2L, 3L, 4L, 5L. They don't put the X in it. And so you might find bigger shoes, but in my experience, when I've walked through the department stores in most rural areas, 27 centimeters is the biggest at normal places. So, and if you go, like the one time I went to the big and tall store in Hiroshima, they had like, Nikes and Reeboks and stuff that were 11, 12, big size, but they're like $100. They're expensive. So again, it's what you want to pay and blah blah. All right, here we go. Hey Jason, Journey in Japan. How many people are watching right now? Let's do just 37 people. Hello, 37 people. That's awesome. I've got 2 questions regarding being large in Japan. I'm a different kind of large, I assume, than yourself. You're 6'1", 235 pounds. Yeah, so you're just basically tall and a little bit chunkier. Then we've got a super tall guy that works at my university. He's like 6'6", but he's like, if he's more than 200 pounds, I'd be surprised. He's really skinny. Pretty avid bodybuilder, so I have 2 questions. All right, man. So 6'1", you're a little bit taller than me. You're probably about 185 centimeters. I'm 182. So height things probably won't be that big a deal. Although if you watch my video, especially my apartment video, you got to watch door jams. The top of your head going through a door, like this door behind me, because it's literally like it's like 180 centimeters, and I'm 182. So you just have to be careful. Any information regarding gyms? People have asked me this before. No, I've never really. I know you can go to them. In Inaka areas, there's only going to maybe be one, and it's going to be expensive. They're going to have probably what you want. They're probably going to have machines, treadmills, bicycles, and then some free weights. So you really obviously just need to go check it out before you commit to anything. But from what I've heard, it can be, oh man, I don't want to guess because it's been a while since I talked to someone about the gym. But I think she was paying 4,000 yen a month, $40 a month. So what I did, and what you could probably do when I was trying to be fit back in the day when I was playing kendo with my junior high kids, they had a weight room that almost never got used at my junior high. And like that first summer in between my Jet years, when I didn't go home to America, and you have to work. So I would come to school, but late, like not at 8:30. I would come to school at like 10. And then kind of go into the Shokun Shitsu, the staff room, sort of wave to someone, so it's like I made an appearance, sit down at my desk, look at whatever memos might be circulating, and then go, okay, I'm going to go off and work out. And the kendo team would be in the kendo dojo, and I would go and I would sit, and watch them for a few minutes, and then I'd like wave at the coach, and I'd go into the weight room and it'd be empty, and I would work out for 45 minutes, and then it'd be almost noon, and I'd be sweaty, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go home and eat lunch and shower. Okay, see ya. And maybe I'd do a little bit of jousting with the kendo team, and in between or before or whatever. And then I would go home and I would take like a 2-hour lunch from like noon to 2, and then I would come back from like 2 to 4 and like study Japanese or do stuff at my desk in the air conditioning inside the staff room. And that was my summer. And so I would literally, because I had to be doing something for some of the weeks, try to like get in with some sports team or something if you're a sporty person. And that can be, counted as, you going and contributing and stuff like that for the day. But yeah, so they had a bench and they had weight machines and skip rope and free bar, and I would just lift for 30 or 45 minutes by myself. Supplements in Japan, dude, I just have no clue. Yeah, sorry, Josh. There's health food stores online, man. I mean, just see what you can get online. There's places not only that obviously you can just buy stuff from America and have it shipped to Japan, but there's things like FBC, which I think is just FBC.com, FBC, Foreign Buyers Club, places like that that will buy, they're situated in Japan, but they just, you want Captain Crunch, you want, Swiss Miss Cocoa, you want, whatever it is that you buy in your home country, and they'll get it for you and ship it to you in Japan. And they have massive catalog online and stuff, so there's ways to get things. Angel asks, I've never taught or tutored anyone. Well, that's going to be something, that on your application that you're going to want to hopefully be able to point to something. So yeah, it would be good to get some experience. It can be all kinds of experience can count. You can be a lifeguard. You can be a soccer coach. You can be, work with the Boys and Girls Club. You can be a big brother, big sister. You can, literally, go to the tutoring center. You're going to be teaching English, right? Is your English pretty good? If it is, go to the tutor center and volunteer to read, other college students at your college papers and give them feedback. Be a peer tutor. I did that for a year at a community college. There's just so many things you can do. It can be with children, or it can be in a tutoring role. It can be a summer camp. It can be, it can be something fun. It can be, and anything you can think of where you're in a role where you're helping educate, stimulate, guide, lead another group, whether it be kids or people your own age, etc. That kind of stuff looks good on a resume or application, I should say, to JET, and it will give you good experience. Being in that kind of position for when you come over. So yeah, try to get some of that experience. Akito, first time watching live. Thank you. Baby Metal is very cool. I agree. I think I'm gonna buy. I was on iTunes. It's $11.99 to buy it on iTunes, the American store, and I think I'm just gonna pay the extra and get the CD in a shop after I get paid here soon, because I'm assuming the booklet will have all kinds of lyrics and fun pictures, and I think it'd just be kind of a cool thing to have. Something very Japanese that I would have never bought in America. But if you don't know Baby Metal, just go to YouTube and type in Baby Metal. For your very first video, maybe Gimme Chocolate. Try Gimme Chocolate. It's a very interesting collaboration going on. All right, so we're back to Sumo. Thank you, Shreddy Wheats. Well, who do you think is going to win the basho? Wow. Just go right to the end there, dude. Get right to the point. Man, I can't make that prediction because I haven't seen anyone. I haven't really gotten a lot of the scuttlebutt. The Japan news that I get, the English paper like this has a whole big article about Kakinu. Let's see if I can show it to you there. And that was when he he got promoted and talking about his promotion and a little bit about him and so they do follow sumo a little bit. But like today in the paper today, the Sunday paper where the basho starts today, there's no sumo article at all. The only thing is a list of the pairings for today, like who's going to fight each other in a little box. There's no like, hey, let's look at the basho, or like you said, like who do we think is going to win? They used to have coverage like that in the English language newspaper, and they've really fallen off a lot, and it's annoying. So when I tune in today and I start to listen, they'll talk to about the guys who maybe had a problem in the last 2 months, training or whatever, and I'll start to get a feel for like who's on top of things. Let's see how Kiseno Sato looks. Okay, well, how's Haruma Fuji fighting? Who's got bandages wrapped around things? These factors. So I really am hesitant to make any kind of I don't know what you would call it, prediction based on not having really that much information yet. So of course, Shreddy Wheats, as always, who do I want to win? Haruma Fuji. He's my man. I got to stick by him. And who do I want to do well? Okinoumi. I really do want him to fulfill his potential and get into Sanyaku and stay there. So hopefully he's on fire. I do like Endo. I'll be interested to see how he does. And, of course, Kakuru. You can't expect him to have a great tournament. But, if he comes out of the gate and he's just on all cylinders and wins another Emperor's Cup this time, that would be amazing for him. So I would be very happy for him. But yeah, as long as Haruma Fuji is doing well, I'm usually happy. Okay, U-Draft. Hey Jason, I'm coming to Tokyo Tuesday for a week and a half. Man, go see Sumo. No, I'm not going to be in the area. I live nowhere near Tokyo. They just had the big, cherry blossom party. They're going to have another big Tokyo party, and it's just really hard for me to get out there. Basically, for me to go to Tokyo with transportation, stay in a hotel for 1 or 2 nights, and then come back to where I live, I'm looking at an easy $500 weekend. And that's a chunk of change. Just in transportation and hotels and stuff. And that doesn't include food, like going out for meals and or anything I would buy maybe. Souvenirs, etc. So yeah, it's an expensive place to get to. Although there is a carrier, an airline that's going to start flights from Hiroshima, which is not far from me, for like less than $100 each way. So that could help a lot. I think they're going to start in June or July, and they're going to have like 4 flights a day, and they're going to be like $80 each one way to Haneda, one of the 2 airports. That'd be awesome for me, and could very easily be the reason I finally get to go to Tokyo to see Sumo. Akito says, I've yet to go to Japan. From what I can see, the making time in Japan isn't as crazy as you want. I mean, blah, 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 just visit the Shrines Temple. Good. Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can become as Japanese as you want to become while you're here. You can totally obsess. You can start to wear, kimono every day and drink tea and sit in seiza and go to shrines and, read Buddhist sutras and, I mean, you can go native if you want, but, living and working and interacting here, I mean, there's a certain amount of, you want to acclimate yourself to, your surroundings, but at the same time, you want to be who you are. I wasn't born in Japan. My parents aren't Japanese. I'm me, but I love living here. It just suits me well, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. But it's not my home at the same time in a weird way. Now, if I were married or had kids and I really had set down roots and started a family here or something, that feeling like Hiko Simon or Victor, that feeling might change. But for now, it's still sort of this other place where I live, and it's not, my home. Wow, am I actually getting caught up here? Okay, let me. I like how it says all comments 6. I really do wish I know how to move the comments. So it says 43 people are watching now. Hello, 43 people. I hope you can hear me well. So I've been on for an hour and a half. That's a pretty good length of time. Maybe a half an hour more. So we'll say to 1 o'clock Japan time, and then I'll probably scoot along. I want to eat lunch and get some stuff done here before Sumo starts for me at 4 o'clock. I'm going to tune in a little early, like I said, because I want to see the ring entering ceremony by new Yokozuna Kakeru before we get going. So leave a comment here. But thank you for all your comments and questions. I appreciate it. It makes this interesting and not so one-sided. I did have some topics to talk about, but I'm more than happy to read your comments and answer questions. Peter says, I love Japan and wish to visit it someday. Thank you for all your videos. Yeah, I do, man. I wanted to come to Japan for many years, and sort of the language barrier issue and the expense. But I think you can now, come to Japan, especially with like the rail pass you can get as a foreign tourist. The exchange rate is pretty favorable. I mean, it's pretty even, $1 to 100 yen. These kinds of things. You can come to Japan and say, for $1,000, not including your flight, you can spend a good week here or so and really, see some of the country, go to some really interesting places and get a feeling for it and just have a really good time. I mean, as a tourist place to come, Japan is amazing. There's so much to see and do, and as much as I was saying before about how people are people and Japan is boring and day-to-day life is day-to-day life. You get up, you go to your job, you come home, and that part is true to a certain extent. Japan is also amazeballs, I mean, it's just like, it's so different than America. I mean, even if you lived in California, which has a lot of Asian Americans, has Little Tokyo, and, there's the Chinatown section of, San Francisco, where I used to live in the Bay Area, and you might have, Asian friends who you know a little bit about Asian culture, etc., or studied it in school. But when you come here, I think it's just it really is awesome. Going around the restaurants, the food is so good. All the shrines, how ancient everything is. Juxtaposed with how super modern other things are. Something really historical in, say, America might be 300 or 400 years old. Maybe 200 years old for some stuff. In Japan, things, they have shrines and stuff, thousands, I mean, literally like 1,000 years ago they were built or started, or traditions, and it's it's amazing. And then it's interesting. I don't really know a lot of other places. I mean, you can go to England. England is an island nation, a very wealthy first world place, but it's very diverse now. London especially, I think, is a very diverse place with lots of different people. China obviously is China, but I've never been to Beijing or Shanghai. I don't know if they feel diverse. I think Hong Kong is fairly diverse, but Japan is still, it's like everywhere you look is Japanese people. Tokyo, obviously, you're going to see a lot more foreigners than, say, where I live, or if you go to some other places. But it's really weird still to walk around in a touristy place and be surrounded by one type of person. And that's an interesting adjustment in and of itself, who are super friendly, generally want to help you as much as they can, will try to speak English if they know it, but it really helps if you can speak some basic Japanese. So if you come over, do get a phrase book or something and learn, the 10 or 15 words that will help you along as you go through places. All right. Mackenzie, Japan. Oh, good question. Movies that I'm pumped for this summer. I posted this on my page that I maintain for my students, and I was going to ask them, what are they pumped for? The three that I mentioned to them that I'm really excited to see are X-Men: Days of Future Past, absolutely. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, amazing, looks awesome, and Godzilla. Yeah, if they can pull off a really good Godzilla movie, I will be so happy. But all the other ones you mentioned there are pretty good. How to Train Your Dragon was such a delight, the first one, and the second one looks like they've come up with a really good way. Like I thought Despicable Me, the first one was really fun, and the second one was kind of like they didn't really have a lot to do. They were just trying to like put a second one together really fast. And there's a lot of those little minion creatures, and those little minion guys are really popular in Japan, way more so than like the main character or whatever. So Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Godzilla, Guardians of the Galaxy. I just don't know what to think about yet. It's such an unknown property to most people. I, as even a big comic book fan, barely know the book of the characters. I will definitely be there first weekend, don't get me wrong. They've got my money already, but I just don't know what to think about it yet. Maleficent, the trailer looks good. That's one that's I'm going to be swayed a little bit by reviews and stuff. 22 Jump Street, the first one I think barely played here. I did finally see it on iTunes. Maybe because I was watching it by myself and I'm 45. I laughed a little bit, and I actually liked the two leads, but I was glad I saw it for $4 and not $18. You know what I mean? Like, it was funny, but it wasn't great. X-Men. Anything else that I'm forgetting? Well, I mean, we've already seen Captain America, which I thought was awesome. Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I thought was okay. There's got to be some big drama or something I'm forgetting. But anyway, yeah, that's a good question, Mackenzie. Hopefully those movies will come out in a timely fashion here. I know I have a Jet friend who's a huge Godzilla fan, and Godzilla opens in America on July 25th. And his contract ends with Jet on like July 19th or something. So he's supposed to then, of course, go home. You know, they pay for your flight home when you're at Jet. So I think he's trying to like ask them if they'll, you know, delay his flight, and you know he has to move out of his apartment because a new jet's going to come. So then he's going to try and just like crash on couches or something. Because he's worried that the movie will be gone from America and he won't get to see it. He'd really kind of like to see it in Japan. But anyway, that's just funny timing for him. Yeah, I'm hoping Guido, me Armental, I hope Guido has a good bus show. He really, you know, I think he's been Sekewake forever, dude. Like 2 full years at that rank. He needs to go up to Ozeki. Yeah. Oh, Sam got the baby metal. Well, if you're a baby metal fan, Sam, I think you said you're in America or you're in the military, so I don't know where you are. But they're touring Europe. Yeah, they're going to play in the UK and they're going to play in Germany. I'd love to go see their show. I think it would be really fun. Angel asked a DC question. I've seen Son of Batman. Yeah, Son of Batman I've heard really good things about. Here's my hard thing to think about. Like, let me. I can't reach back and get them. I have a bunch of my Blu-rays over there, but they're just out of reach. I do buy a lot of the DC animated stuff on Blu-ray, and I like to support them. And they put good extras on the discs. They put like Batman animated series episodes. They always have like an interview and something related to the comic. So I try, but you can rent Son of Batman on iTunes for like $4. So I'm torn, you know, do I the Blu-ray is probably like 15 to 20 and then there's a little bit of shipping, or do I rent it for $4? But then if I like it, I'll be like, damn, I wish I would have bought it because, you know, I like extras. I like watching director commentaries. I like watching documentaries about how they make things. That's part of my, like, you know, fandom of movies. So I'm debating right now. When I get my paycheck, you know, part of it always goes to Amazon. I'm always buying shit, always buying Blu-rays. I'm still buying CDs. I just bought a huge Elton John. I'm a huge Elton John fan from his early 70s period, and they just brought out this amazing, like 6-disc DVD, CD, booklet package for an amazing album of his called Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which came out in like 1975. I was like 5 years old, but you know, Later on, when I re-embraced him and discovered all his early albums, which are amazing, by the way, uh, I love to still buy stuff like that. So I don't do everything by digital download. And so Son of Batman, I'm torn. I've read some of the comics, and I know the basic outline of the character and the story they're going to tell. And the trailer does look good. So I probably will get the Blu-ray. So I haven't seen it yet. But part of me wants to just watch it now and pay the $4 on iTunes. Of course, I can do both. First world problems, right? GS Inquisitor. Jason, you stated in previous videos that people can pay for you to read their essay for Jet. How much do you charge? I'd like for you to review before I submit when I apply in the next few years. Have you pursued a love interest there? I don't think I've ever seen you talk about that. Speaking of life over there. I don't talk about my love life a lot. GS Inquisitor, there's really not much to talk about. It's sad, I know. I'd be happy to read your essay. Nowadays, I used to charge $15 when I first started doing it back in like 2009. I now charge $20. I feel that's fair. You send it to me, I look it over, I send you back a revision, which means that I correct any mistakes that I find, and I edit it and add things that I feel like make it stronger. Then you look at it, and then you have one more chance to send it to me again if you feel like you want to. And yeah, so when you are ready in a year or whatever, I get a lot of these requests in kind of August, September. So around that time, just use myargonauts and then @gmail.com and send it to me. And then usually I take payment via PayPal. Okay, what else we got here? Shreddy Wheats doesn't think Kakeru is going to do well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Hanuma Fuji had a terrible bus show when he was his first bus show. I think as a Yokozuna, he went like 9-6. It was terrible, but then he bounced back and won the next Emperor's Cup. So it is you're out drinking, you're out doing press, photo opportunities. You're probably not training as hard as you should. You're enjoying the promotion and everything that comes with it in the 2 months in between, last bus show in March and now. So Kakeru, we'll just have to see. And like you said, everybody's gunning for you now. Hopefully he won't give up too many Kimboshi or anything like that. But you still want him to get at least 12, say 12 wins. You don't want him to do what Hanuma Fuji did and really fall short. Mel, any advice for people to moving to Japan in their 30s? I've made videos about being an older jet. You might seek those out. Just type in the keyword older. I think I also have some on my Taisha Jason channel, which is what I've been commenting as. Just click on that and type in search word older or old or something. There's no big difference other than what you've accumulated in your life up until that point. So many jets that come over are 22, 23, up to say 25. Jet might be their first big job. Maybe they don't have any debt. They were living in their parents and they were living in college. They probably don't have any furniture. So they can just sort of store everything at their parents' house or whatever it is while they come to Japan for 2 years. But these could be very different than you in your 30s. And certainly when I first came to Japan, I had just turned 35 about a month before I got on the plane to become a jet. And yeah, so I mean, I had to sell off a bunch of my crap. I had a big garage sale right before I left because my sister was going to keep some of my stuff, and she did. And then I ended up getting a storage unit because she was going to move. And at that time, I think I've told this story before, I had like a 40 long box collection of comic books. It was a huge collection of comic books that I just kept and kept and kept for many years. And finally, about 2 years ago, I sold it off. And so I didn't really have any furniture. I sold my bed. I sold my dresser. I sold my car. All that stuff went, but I had all these comic books, I had magazines, I had CDs, I had tons of DVDs, laser discs, just all this stuff, and it was in, one half of a two-car garage, and then finally she was moving, and so then I went home and then moved it all into a storage unit and paid a monthly storage unit fee in San Diego for years and years. Things like that might be different. Accumulated debt, if you have to send money home to pay off college loans or credit card debt, that will be different than somebody that's younger. But as far as being here and being accepted, you're just a foreigner. If you're genki and lively and spirited and interact with the other people around you in a youthful way, they don't care how old you are. It doesn't matter, especially at your schools. Shogakuse don't care if you're 33 or 23, as long as you're fun and a good teacher and play with them and stuff. Um, and yeah, it really doesn't matter. The only difference is if you're in your, say, early to mid 30s, there's a chance you might even be older than some of the teachers you're going to teach with, because they might be just out of college or something in teacher training, and they themselves might be 25 or 26. And you're teaching with them and you're older than them, but that won't really matter because the kohai senpai thing is not part of your culture; it's part of their culture, and so yeah, I don't really see a problem with it at all. La, 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 la. So we talked about that. Okay, I think we're going to wrap up here in about 10 minutes. So if anyone has any final comments, feel free to jump in. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know if this video will go up on my channel. Maybe people would want to watch it afterwards, even though they weren't here live. But 40 people is pretty good. Thanks for coming along. Hopefully you found out about it from my Twitter or my Facebook, because those are the two main ways that I got this out there. I didn't make a video and put it on my Argonauts channel that said, hey, tomorrow I'm going to have a hangout. Sometimes I've done that in the past, but yeah, this has been good. If I do it again, maybe I'll try to get another J-vlogger in, and but I just wanted to do this, so I am going to go off right now and make a video for my Sumo channel, kind of introducing the Basho, so watch that, and then later on tonight, the Basho ends at 6. Probably by, say, 10 p.m. tonight, Japan time, I'll have day 1 videos up for the first day of the May Basho. We got a few more coming in here. Get live Japanese TV in the States. Super deep. Yeah, Aikido, the only way I've ever seen Japanese TV in the States is there is a channel called Japan TV or TV Japan. Google both of those, and they have a cable channel that you can subscribe to in America. I know it's very available in California where I live because there's so many Asian Americans, more specifically Japanese Americans, and it's $25 a month through, what did we have, Cox Cable at my parents' house when I used to get it. And it's basically, though, it's NHK World. It's a lot of NHK programs. So for me, that was good because it was Sumo. I used to get it when I'd want to watch, if I say, I go home this summer for summer vacation, I want to watch Sumo in September, I'll pay the $25 and watch it. And they would have it live, like at midnight in California, Japan, so it's live Japan time, and then they would re-show it, in some kind of digest form. Anyway, yeah, so NHK show a lot of sports, but it's a lot of, like, American baseball, Japanese baseball, a lot of soccer. I haven't seen a lot of Super GT on NHK, so I'm not sure. All right, anything else? All right. Leave a comment here. I know there's a little bit of a lag between the live and what's showing up on YouTube, but that's okay. James says, I never thought about coming to Japan. I got sent there for work 6 months and been there 5 weeks. I'm in Osaka, and I love it. People are so nice and it's so safe. Can't wait to explore a bit more. Yeah, you're in Osaka, man. Osaka is great. Osaka is probably definitely a city that I would really, if I was going to live in a big Japanese city, it would be the one. Um, Tons to do, tons of restaurants, shops, bars, um, places to go. You know, there's USJ, there's um, the aquarium. There's obviously Sumo there once a year. There's very easy to get on transport and get to say Kyoto or get to Kobe, and then a whole world opens up. So hopefully you'll spend some time in Kyoto soon. Go to some of the temples there. They're cliche or they're typical, but go to all the famous ones. Go to Kinkakuji. Go to the Golden Temple, the Golden Pavilion. Go to Kiyomizudera, the waterfall temple. It's a hike up the mountain, but it's worth it. Go to Nijojo, I think is how you say it, Nijo Castle with the whispering boards that you can walk on. All those places in Kyoto are awesome. In Osaka, it's just, yeah, there's just so much to see and do. And I mean, as far as like being a Westerner, they have like Burger King, for Christ's sake. They have so many things that we just don't have out in rural Japan, that I'm just jealous. They're going to be opening Harry Potter World, which I'm a pretty big Harry Potter fan, and considering I was a little older than the core demographic, but they're opening that as part of USJ, Universal Studios Japan, and I think it opens in late July. And I really want to go, and I have a friend who wants to go, and one of my former students, who's just the biggest sweetheart ever, now works and lives in Osaka, and she's like, Jason, let's go see Harry Potter, on Facebook. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to go. So I'm probably going to head to Osaka in probably early August, because I'll be finished with school by then. Before I go home to America, it'll be hot as hell, but it should be a really fun day. And so I hope to get to Osaka this summer to do that. If not, it'll be in like September or something when it cools off a bit, or not September, maybe October, after I come back from there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go home to America this summer. I need to spend some time with my dad. It's Mother's Day in Japan today. Happy Mother's Day to mothers. My mother, as most of you know, passed away about a year ago. She passed away in early June of last year. So my dad, unfortunately, has gone downhill. This often happens, I think, to old couples who've been together a long time. When one of them goes, the other one sort of soon follows. And he's not going to die, but he's deteriorated. He used to be able to walk around by himself and do a lot more things for himself. And we've had to put him in a home. And his memory is starting to show signs of, early Alzheimer's. And it's tough. I haven't been home in a while, and I need to go home and see him. And my sister does a lot of the taking care of him. And so that's slated for the summer. So I'll probably go home like mid-August to late September and be in America, yay! Which is nice. I like escaping the heat of Honshu, where I am. In the summertime, I like going home and eating Mexican food and going to the movies for a reasonable price, and being in America for a little while. I just hate the flying, because I'm a big guy and blah, blah, blah. And it's expensive. It's so expensive. So hopefully I'll find a good flight, and we'll have the May Basho starts today, and then the July Basho, which is in Nagoya, which I went to a year or so ago. No, it wasn't last year. It was the year before. And I'd like to go to again, so I'll have to talk to Victor. Although if I'm going to go to Harry Potter World, I'd probably have to take the money I would spend going to Nagoya and save it for Harry Potter World. And then the September Basho, I might be in America. So, okay, no more comments. Let's see. Anything updating? Let's see if I can. Top comments, loading. Oh, it's all the ones by me. And this one guy who left a comment that said anal. Okay, well that's nice, thanks. Arabria is here, yay! Sumo coverage. Click on his channel, click on his comment, and go to his, subscribe to his channel. He's got way more subscribers than my Sumo channel does, I'm assuming, but awesome Sumo coverage. Had a little bit of a problem recently with his streaming feed and the way they're trying to monetize the one on the main channel, but still offering really good coverage, way more than I do. It's where I go when I miss a day or when I forget to set my DVR or something. So click on him if you like Sumo, and if you're not already subscribed, subscribe to his channel. It's awesome. Oh, okay, ooh, I got a few last comments here that we're going to get to before I sign off in the next 5 minutes or so. How hard would it be for a foreigner to get into a university like yours as a student? I can tell you it's not hard. A lot of universities in America and the UK have sister, you know, campus relationships with universities in Japan. Temple University, TUJ, I think if you Google TUJ or Temple University Japan is very accepting of foreign students who want to come over for a year or more. My university, we don't really accept foreign students except from Russia, Korea, and China, to be honest, because all the classes are in Japanese. So if you were to come over here and want to go to my university, you would have to be fluent enough in Japanese to be able to take your classes in Japanese. And that's just because my university is really small. We only have like 1,000 students. We would love to have American or Australian students come they come for like a week sometimes and visit, but to actually come and stay and take classes, we would have to really do other things and rethink the way and have content classes that are taught in English, etc. And that would be great if we would, because it would probably give me more of a job. But we don't have that yet. But yeah, if you're a foreign student and in college and want to come and spend some of your time in Japan at a university, it's really not that hard. Look into it. Go to your counseling center. Talk to someone at your university about it, and I bet you can do it. I'm not saying it's cheap. It might cost money above and beyond what you normally spend or your parents normally pay for your education, but it's really worth it. Everybody that talks about going to university in Japan for like a year, it's always awesome. Yeah. Do you still go to festivals at Izumo Taisha Shrine, Angel? Yes, as much as I can. I try. New Year's is a big time. They've had recent festivals where they redid the roof of the shrine, which only happens every 60 years, 6-0. So that was a big deal. They have a museum next door. They had a big festival thing there I went to. So yeah, I try to get up there and go as much as I can. All right. Cool, Mark. Thanks for watching. If you're still watching, go have fun. And thanks for supporting the channel. Mackenzie, thank you for coming. Okay, Tom, I will put it up on YouTube. I think it goes automatically onto YouTube. Awesome. Mel Khan, Japan, thank you for asking a question. Appreciate it. Sam is actually in America. My Army buddies see me as a Japanophile. The women are nice. Japanese women. Yeah, I think there are a lot of positives about Japan, and that's great, man. Have an interest in something outside your own country. That's very healthy, and try to learn a little bit of Japanese if you're going to Okinawa. It really will help with the natives down there. I think they'll give you a lot more leeway and respect if you can sling a little Nihongo and not just be the typical Marine or whatever on the base. Okay, man. I'm going to hit stop, even though it's weird. Now I've got both screens up where I can see like the YouTube screen and my screen, and I guess it'll stop on YouTube when it stops. So thanks again. everyone for coming out, watching. Appreciate it. 2 hours. Wow. I really only thought I'd do an hour, and I thought there'd be like 15 people, but there were more than 40 people for some of this time, and you guys asked awesome questions and a wide variety: movies, sumo, Japan, jet. It's great that so many different people with so many different interests came by and watched. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And sumo later today. And I do have a video that I made that I need to upload. It's on my phone that I need to put up. So more on the My Argonauts channel this week as well as this video for those who couldn't come by right now. Okay, peace. See you guys soon. Bye.